Ziver was not an ordinary chef. He was an alien from a world called Vayer, a place where food was science and every meal was planned for maximum efficiency. Ziver worked on a big space station, floating between the stars, where all kinds of travelers from many worlds came to eat at his famous restaurant. Everyone who tasted his food said he was the best chef in the galaxy. Still, Ziver did not feel happy. He felt something was missing, but he did not know what it was. Every day was the same. Ziver would wake up, go to his kitchen, and prepare dishes that had won awards. There were meals made with glowing fruits from Altara, spicy roots from Nargo, and rare fish from the dark moon of Fallon. Ambassadors, merchants, and explorers all came to eat at his table. They smiled, clapped, and told him how amazing his food tasted. But their words felt empty to Ziver. Their eyes did not shine with true joy. They did not feel surprise or wonder. They just wanted to eat the next new thing and say they had been to the best restaurant. Ziver tried to change his recipes. He added new spices, changed the way he cooked, and even invented strange dishes that no one had ever tasted before. But every time, the guests only cared about how fancy the food looked or how expensive it was. No one asked why he made the food or what it meant to him. Ziver started to feel alone, even in a room full of people. Some nights, when he finished work, Ziver would stand by the window and look at the stars. He dreamed of finding something new, something that would make him feel alive. Other chefs talked about a feeling called inspiration, but Ziver did not remember the last time he felt that. He had everything he was supposed to want, but inside he felt empty. One day, while Ziver was cutting vegetables, two young servers whispered near the kitchen door. They spoke about a story they had heard from a friend. It was about a strange food made by humans, a new race that had only recently joined the galactic community. The story was about a simple meal made of yellow noodles and melted cheese. Ziver almost laughed. Food made of noodles and cheese sounded too simple, almost silly. He asked the servers more, but they only shrugged and said it was just a story. After that, Ziver heard more rumors. Some travelers said that humans cooked in small kitchens with fire and made food for their families. Others said human food was plain and boring, made with things like bread, eggs, and beans. Some even said humans did not care about fancy food at all. Ziver listened, but he did not believe these stories. Why would anyone eat such plain food when they could eat the finest meals in the galaxy? Still, something about these rumors stayed in Ziver's mind. He remembered one old traveler who had visited Earth long ago. The traveler said that when he ate with a human family, he felt warm inside, like he was part of something special. Ziver did not understand, but he wondered what it would be like to eat food that made you feel that way. The next week, a cooking contest took place on the station. Chefs from many worlds came to show their best dishes. Ziver won first prize again, but he did not feel happy. The other chef shook his hand, and the judges gave him another medal, but Ziver only felt tired. He watched as everyone left with their prizes, talking about business deals and new recipes. No one talked about enjoying food. No one talked about happiness. That night, Ziver walked alone in the empty restaurant. The tables were set, the lights were soft, and everything was perfect. Still, he felt nothing. He looked at his hands, covered in faint blue spots from hours of cooking. He wished for a change, for something to give his work meaning again. Outside, the space station hummed quietly. Travelers hurried by, heading to their ships. Ziver wondered if he should leave his job and travel too. Maybe somewhere out there, he could find the answer he was looking for. But for now, Ziver stayed. He did not know that very soon something new and unexpected would come into his life, something small and simple that would change everything. The next morning, Ziver entered his kitchen early. He wanted to forget about the stories and focus on his work, but something felt different. The usual quiet was broken by the sound of laughter and a strange smell in the air. It was not one of his dishes. It was something warm and rich, but simple. He followed the smell through the busy hallways of the station, past shops and offices, until he reached a small room at the edge of the docking bay. Inside, he saw a woman standing over a portable stove. She was human, with light brown hair tied back in a messy ponytail. She was humming to herself as she stirred a pot. There were simple boxes and bags around her, filled with things Ziver did not recognize: bright orange powder, strange noodles, a red bottle with a yellow top. The woman smiled as she worked, not noticing that a few curious travelers had gathered to watch. Ziver stood back and listened. Someone asked her what she was making. The woman answered, "It's just mac and cheese. It's nothing fancy. My name is Olivia." The name sounded soft and friendly. Olivia poured noodles into boiling water and then added the orange powder. She squeezed some hot sauce on top. She offered a spoonful to one of the station workers, who took a bite and made a surprised face. "This is good," he said. "It's so creamy," Olivia laughed. "I made this when I was a kid. On Earth, every family has their own way of making it. It's not special, just comfort food." The crowd grew as the smell spread. More people wanted to taste the simple food. Ziver felt his stomach twist with both doubt and curiosity. He had cooked for kings and queens, but never had he seen people gather around something so plain. Still, they looked happy, and that feeling pulled him closer. He watched as Olivia handed out bowls to anyone who asked. The noodles were soft, the cheese was melted, and the sauce was bright and spicy. Ziver could see that the dish was nothing like the foods he prepared, but he noticed how everyone who tasted it smiled in the same way. They closed their eyes and took slow, happy bites. Some even laughed or shared stories of their own home food. Ziver waited until the crowd grew smaller. He walked up to Olivia and said hello. She greeted him like a friend, and he was surprised by her easy kindness. He told her he was a chef and asked if he could try her food. Olivia nodded and handed him a bowl, her eyes bright with excitement. He looked at the bowl in his hands. The noodles were covered in creamy orange cheese. The hot sauce made it smell sharp and bold. It was nothing like the food he made. Ziver took a small bite. The taste hit him all at once: smooth, salty, a little spicy, and very warm. It was not complex, but it was comforting. He felt a strange happiness he could not explain. It was as if the food had a memory inside it, a feeling of home and love. Ziver looked up. Olivia was watching him, waiting for his answer. He tried to find the right words, but none of his training had prepared him for this. "It is ... different," he said. "It makes me feel ... safe." Olivia laughed. "That's the best part. It's food for the soul, not just for the taste." Ziver wanted to know more. He asked her about other Earth foods. Olivia told him stories about pancakes for breakfast, chili in winter, and roasted marshmallows over campfires. She described how families cooked together and how some dishes reminded people of their childhoods. Ziver listened to every word. Each story painted a picture of food not just as a meal, but as a way to share love and happiness. More people came to thank Olivia. Some asked if she could make her food again. Olivia said yes and promised to cook different meals next time. She seemed to enjoy making others happy with her food. Ziver realized that this simple act, cooking and sharing, was what he had been missing in his own work. That night, Ziver could not sleep. The taste of the human food was still on his tongue. The feeling it brought was strong in his heart. He began to wonder if there was more to food than skill and science. Maybe the real magic was in the love and memories it carried. He promised himself that he would talk to Olivia again. He needed to learn more about this new way of cooking and feeling. He did not know it yet, but his life was about to change forever. Ziver woke up early again, but this morning was not like the others. He could not stop thinking about Olivia's food. The taste of the cheesy noodles and the warm feeling in his chest stayed with him. Ziver did not care about the medals in his kitchen or the praise from the important guests. He only wanted to understand how such simple food could make people happy. He felt like he had been asleep for a long time and was only now waking up. He saw Olivia in the hallway later that day. She was talking with some other workers, smiling and laughing as she carried her bags of groceries. Ziver walked up to her and tried not to sound too eager when he asked, "Will you cook again today?" Olivia grinned. "Of course. I thought I'd make something different." "Have you ever tried pancakes?" Ziver shook his head. He did not know what pancakes were, but he wanted to find out. He asked if he could help, and Olivia agreed. They walked together to the little cooking room. Olivia let Ziver mix the batter, showing him how to break eggs, pour milk, and stir the flour. Ziver watched closely, feeling nervous but excited. The steps were simple, but Olivia told him the secret was to pay attention and have patience. When the first pancake sizzled on the hot pan, Ziver's antennae twitched with the sweet smell. Olivia flipped the pancake and showed him how to watch for tiny bubbles on the surface. She stacked the pancakes on a plate and poured syrup over them. Ziver tried a bite and closed his eyes. The pancake was soft and sweet. The syrup was rich and sticky. He felt happy, like a child again, even though he had never tasted anything like it before. Other people came by to see what they were making. Olivia welcomed them all and gave them pancakes. She liked talking with everyone and sharing her stories. Ziver was quiet, but he listened carefully to everything Olivia said. She talked about Sunday mornings on Earth when her family would sit together for breakfast and talk about their week. She said pancakes made her remember home and the people she loved. Ziver watched how the simple food made people smile and feel close to each other. He realized that the food he made at his restaurant was beautiful and expensive, but it never made anyone feel like this. He felt a little sad, but also hopeful. Maybe he could learn to cook in this new way. After the pancakes, Olivia cleaned up and asked Ziver about his own cooking. He told her about the fancy meals he made, the rare ingredients, and the many competitions he had won. Olivia listened carefully, but then she said, "It sounds amazing, but sometimes the best food is the food that makes you feel at home." That night, Ziver tried to make pancakes in his own kitchen. He remembered each step, but his pancakes did not taste the same as Olivia's. He tried again and again, growing frustrated. He did not understand what he was missing. He realized that Olivia cooked with feeling, with memories and care. He wondered if that was the real secret. The next day, he asked Olivia to teach him again. She smiled and said yes. This time, Ziver listened to her stories and tried to feel what she felt as she cooked. The pancakes were a little better. He saw the joy in the faces of the people who tasted them. He felt something in his heart change, just a little bit. Ziver wanted to learn more. He asked Olivia about other human foods: chili, sandwiches, roasted marshmallow soups. Olivia promised to show him how to make them all. She said, "If you keep cooking with your heart, you'll understand what makes it special." That night, Ziver wrote in his journal. He wrote about the taste of pancakes, about Olivia's stories, and about how sharing food made people feel close. He realized that food was more than flavor or skill. It was a way to connect. He fell asleep dreaming of Earth, of breakfast tables and laughter, and a kind of happiness he had never known before. Ziver felt more alive than he had in years. Every day, he met with Olivia and learned about a new human dish. They made chili, thick with beans and meat and spicy peppers. They made sandwiches with soft bread, cheese, and fresh vegetables. Sometimes, they toasted marshmallows over a small flame and laughed as the sweet treats melted in their mouths. With every meal, Ziver felt like he understood a little more about why human food was special. He started to see food as more than a job. It was a way to bring people together, to share feelings and stories. People on the space station began too. Notice a change in Ziver. He smiled more, and he even laughed sometimes. His kitchen staff wondered what was happening. Ziver began trying to make simple dishes from Earth in his own restaurant. He served tomato soup and grilled cheese. He made big pots of stew and let his workers taste them. At first, His staff was. Confused, these meals were not fancy or made with rare ingredients. But slowly, they began to like the new food. They noticed that people who ate it stayed longer, talked more, and seemed happier. Ziver started to ask Olivia questions every day. He wanted to know how she cooked, how she chose her spices, and why she liked certain foods. Olivia told him that on Earth, food was often about sharing time with family and friends. She said, "Sometimes the food is not perfect. Sometimes the bread burns or the soup is too salty. But that does not matter. What matters is being together." Ziver tried to bring this idea into his kitchen. He let his workers join him when he was cooking. He told them stories about the foods he was learning from Olivia. Soon, people from all over the station came to try his new dishes. Some travelers said the food made them think of home. Others said it was the best meal they had eaten in years. Still, Ziver felt something was missing. He wanted to understand more. One evening, after closing his restaurant, he sat down with Olivia. He asked, "Why does your food taste different when you make it?" "I use the same things, but it is not the same." Olivia smiled. "Maybe it's because I remember how it felt when my mother cooked for me. Or maybe it's because I want people to feel safe and happy when they eat." Ziver thought about this. He realized that cooking with feeling was hard for him. He had spent so many years cooking with rules and science that he had forgotten how to cook with his heart. That night, he walked through the quiet halls of the space station. He looked out at the stars and thought about Earth. He wanted to see where Olivia had learned to cook. He wanted to taste food in the place where it was born. He could not stop thinking about Earth's kitchens, family tables, and busy markets. The next day, Ziver told Olivia he wanted to visit Earth. Olivia was surprised but happy. She promised to help him. But when Ziver tried to get travel permission from the station leaders, they laughed. They told him Earth was a simple world. They said a chef as great as Ziver should not waste his time there. Ziver felt angry and sad. For the first time, he wanted something just for himself, and others said no doubt Olivia did not give up. She told Ziver about the intergalactic exchange program. She said she would help him apply. Ziver spent many hours filling out forms and talking to different people. Some said he was making a mistake. Others were curious why a famous chef wanted to go to a small blue planet. Days turned into weeks. Ziver waited, feeling more nervous each day. He started to worry that he would never see Earth. He felt lost, but Olivia told him to have hope. She said, "Sometimes the best things take time." One afternoon, Ziver received a message. He had been approved to visit Earth. He was so happy that he danced in his kitchen. His staff looked at him with wide eyes, not believing what they saw. Ziver told them the news. Some were worried. Others were excited for him. For the first time, Ziver did not care what anyone thought. He had made his choice. He would follow his heart, even if it meant leaving everything behind. Ziver packed his things with careful hands. He looked around his kitchen, taking one last look at the place where he had worked for so many years. The bright lights and shiny tools felt less important now. He thought about his staff and the friends he had made on the space station. Some came to say goodbye. They wished him luck, though a few could not believe he was really leaving. Ziver smiled and thanked everyone. For the first time, he felt proud not because of a prize or a medal, but because he was following his heart. Olivia met him at the docking bay with a small bag of her own. She had agreed to travel with him and show him around her home. Ziver was nervous. He had traveled to many worlds, but never to Earth. He did not know what to expect. Olivia tried to calm him. She joked about how Earth food was much better on Earth than anywhere else in the galaxy. Their ship was a small passenger craft. Ziver sat by the window as the stars stretched by. The trip was not very long, but he found himself thinking about all he had learned. He wondered if the people on Earth would welcome him, or if he would be seen as strange. Olivia told him stories to pass the time. She talked about her family, her town, and the food she loved most as a child. Ziver listened closely, trying to remember every detail dot as the ship neared Earth. Ziver saw blue oceans, green land, and clouds in the sky. It was beautiful, different from anything he had ever seen. He felt excited and scared all at once. When they landed, Ziver stepped out and breathed the air. It was fresh and filled with smells of plants, dirt, and something sweet from a bakery nearby. Olivia's family came to meet them at the station. Her parents smiled and gave Ziver a big, warm welcome. Olivia's little brother looked up at Ziver with wide eyes and asked if he really was an alien. Ziver laughed for the first time in days. Olivia's mother hugged him and said, "We are so happy you are here. Please, make yourself at home." They drove to Olivia's house, a small home with a yard and big trees. Ziver looked at everything with wonder. He saw children playing, people walking dogs, and neighbors waving to each other. Olivia's father said, "This is your home now." 2. Ziver felt a soft, warm feeling in his chest that Olivia showed him her kitchen. It was smaller and simpler than his space station kitchen, but it was filled with life. There were pictures on the fridge, a stack of cookbooks on the counter, and bowls of fresh fruit. Ziver touched the wooden table and thought of all the meals that had been shared there. That night, Olivia's family made dinner for everyone. Olivia's mother cooked a big pot of soup, and her father grilled chicken outside. Olivia and Ziver made a salad together, laughing as they dropped vegetables on the floor. The family sat together around the table. They passed dishes and told stories. Ziver watched how everyone smiled and talked, even when the food was simple. He tasted the soup and chicken. It was not fancy, but it was full of love. After dinner, Olivia took Ziver to see the town. They walked down the main street, past bakeries, pizza shops, and food trucks. People greeted Olivia and stared at Ziver with friendly curiosity. Olivia bought him a piece of pie from a small bakery. Ziver had never tasted anything like it sweet, with a flaky crust and soft apples inside. He closed his eyes and tried to remember every taste. That night, as Ziver lay in the small guest room, he thought about all he had seen and tasted. He was far from his old life, but he did not feel lost. Instead, he felt like he was starting something new. He wrote in his journal about Olivia's family, their kindness, and the way simple food brought everyone together. He promised himself that he would try every new food he could. He would learn and grow, and maybe one day he would find a way to share this happiness with others. Ziver woke up to the sound of birds singing outside his window. The morning sun was bright, and the air was fresh. He went to the kitchen, where Olivia's mother was already making breakfast. She smiled at him and offered him a plate of eggs, toast, and fruit. Ziver thanked her and sat at the table, watching how easy and warm the family life felt. He felt at peace. After breakfast, Olivia took Ziver into town to show him more about human food. They stopped at a food truck that sold tacos. The man running the truck greeted Olivia and handed her 2 tacos filled with spicy meat, fresh vegetables, and a squeeze of lime. Ziver tasted the taco and was amazed by the mix of flavors. It was spicy, sour, salty, and fresh all at the same time. He could not believe something so simple could taste so good. They visited a diner next. Inside, people sat at small tables and drank coffee while eating pancakes and bacon. Ziver and Olivia sat at the counter. The cook, a friendly woman named Beth, gave them a plate of pancakes with syrup and butter. Ziver remembered his first time making pancakes with Olivia on the space station. He smiled as he ate, happy to try them in their home place. Later, they walked through the farmer's market. Stalls were filled with colorful fruits, vegetables, fresh bread, and honey. Ziver watched as people talked with farmers and tasted samples. Olivia bought a jar of honey and some apples. She told Ziver that many families came here every week, and it was a special part of their life. Ziver liked how everyone seemed to know each other. It felt like a big family. In the afternoon, Olivia's father showed Ziver how to grill meat in the backyard. They made burgers and hot dogs, and the neighbors came over to share food. People told Ziver stories and asked him about his home. He told them about his restaurant and how he used to make very fancy food. The neighbors laughed and said that sometimes the best food was the simplest. Ziver began to see that cooking was about more than just food. It was about friendship and joy. That evening, Olivia and her family took Ziver to a food festival in the town park. There were food trucks, stands, and music. The smell of barbecue and popcorn was everywhere. Ziver tried many foods: barbecue ribs, chili, ice cream, and pie. He saw people dancing, playing games, and laughing together. He wrote in his journal, trying to remember every taste and sound. He did not want to forget any part of it. As the sun set, Olivia said, "Do you want to try something new?" She led him to a small stand where a woman was selling homemade chili. The chili was spicy and rich, with beans and meat. It warmed Ziver from the inside. The woman told him that everyone in town had their own way of making chili, and that sharing recipes was a way to show love. Ziver was touched by how food was connected to every part of life here. People shared recipes, stories, and laughter with their food. He thought about his own home, where meals were quiet and serious. He wished he could bring some of this happiness back with him. That night, Ziver sat with Olivia and her family around a fire in the backyard. They roasted marshmallows and made s'mores. Ziver listened to the stories and songs and felt a part of the family. He realized that this was what he had always wanted, not just to cook, but to belong. Before going to bed, Ziver wrote again in his journal. He wrote about the food trucks, the market, the diner, and the festival. He wrote about the people and how kind they were. He wanted to remember everything so he could share these memories with others someday. Ziver knew that his life had changed forever. He was no longer just a chef. He was a friend, a student, and a part of something special. Ziver felt at home in Olivia's town. Every day brought something new. He spent his mornings in the kitchen with Olivia's family, helping to make breakfast and learning new recipes. He talked with neighbors and shared meals with people who became his friends. The more he learned about human food, the more he wanted to share his own ideas too. He started to dream of something big. One afternoon, Olivia asked him, "Have you thought about opening your own restaurant here?" At first, Ziver laughed. He said, "No one would want to eat alien food in this little town." But Olivia shook her head. "You could make something special, food from your world and from Earth. People would love to try it." Ziver thought about it for many days. He walked through the town, talking to shop owners and families. He asked people what they liked to eat and what they wished they could try. Everyone was curious about him and his food. Some even told him their favorite recipes. Slowly, Ziver's dream began to grow. He talked to Olivia's family about his idea. They were excited and wanted to help. Olivia's father helped him find a small building near the center of town. The building needed work, but Ziver was not afraid of hard work. He cleaned, painted, and built a new kitchen with Olivia and her family. Neighbors brought old tables and chairs. Children painted pictures to hang on the walls. Soon, the place was ready. Ziver called his restaurant Star Table. He put both alien and human dishes on the menu. Some meals had strange colors or shapes, but Ziver explained each one. He added stories about where the food came from and what it meant to him. People in town came on opening day, some nervous but most excited. Olivia helped in the kitchen, and her family served food with big smiles. The first customers tried Ziver's food and were surprised. Some liked the alien dishes best. Others loved the human meals. Everyone agreed that the best part was how the food made them feel happy and welcome. News about the restaurant spread to nearby towns. More people came to try Ziver's cooking. Sometimes even aliens traveling through Earth stopped in to taste something from home. Ziver was busy, but he was not tired like before. He looked forward to each new day. He still cooked with care and skill, but now he cooked with his heart too. He watched as families laughed together and strangers became friends at his tables. He saw children try new foods and share stories. Every smile made him feel proud. He kept writing in his journal every night. He wrote about the people he met and the meals he made. He wanted to remember every moment. He sent messages to his old friends on the space station, telling them about his new life. Some were surprised. Others were inspired to try something new themselves. On the first anniversary of the restaurant, Ziver hosted a big dinner for the whole town. Olivia, her family, and many neighbors brought dishes to share. There was food from Earth and from faraway worlds. People played music, danced, and told stories late into the night. Ziver looked around at the happy faces and felt a deep joy. He realized he had found what he was looking for. It was not just a new taste or a special recipe. It was the feeling of being part of a family and a community. Food was more than just something to eat. It was a way to bring people together. That night, Ziver sat with Olivia, her family, and his friends around a big table under the stars. They ate, laughed, and shared dreams for the future. Ziver looked up at the sky and thought about how far he had come. He was no longer searching. He was home.